Hello friends, James Stevenson back with part 14 of my Tesla earnings forecast video review series. We are now down to the good stuff, in my opinion, the actual forecast part of the forecast. You know, charts and graphs are nice to look at and everything, but it is the numbers that are actually the forecast, and that's what we get to review in part 14. This is the big enchilada. This is the income statement as Tesla will report it on a GAAP basis. Slide 14, or part 14 of my video series. It's probably a few slides farther into my forecast thread that I tweeted out on November 20th. But let's check in right now with Loki in his second bed. Loki's alternative bed. You can see right into his ear in this shot. Maybe he'll move around some later, but he has decided, I think, that it's darker in his crate. And so that is where the Loki cam has been established. So you won't miss a second of Loki's intense meditation, or whatever it is he's doing. So I sure hope you're not trying to look at this on your phone if you're trying to look at this on your phone. You know what I need to do is just bring up my earnings model instead of showing you what's in this PowerPoint slide, because the print is too small for you to read. And what I will do instead is bring up, here it is. Hey, look how easy a transition that was. My live Excel spreadsheet, which I hope still matches the same numbers. This is my 12.3 version of this. So let's check the earnings number and make sure it's the same. Just to make sure I don't have to ditch this video and try again. If I know where my income statement even is. Okay, here it is. I've got $5,133,000 in my earnings model today, and when I tweeted this, I had $5,133,000. So those are the same. This hasn't changed. We can go through and take a look at this, and you'll be able to see the numbers a little better with me zoomed all the way in here. Okay, so we're going to show 7 quarters worth of actuals and 1 quarter worth of forecast. And if I remember, I'll scroll over to the right, and we can see the future, 2023 and 2024, are also on here. I forecast all those every quarter. So my income statement appears right after my cost of sales percentage section. I may as well show you that. Total cost of sales and gross margin, the two of these together always add up to exactly 1, because that is the definition of gross margin. It's how much is left after you've paid for your cost of sales, right? So I am expecting, you know, about the same cost of sales in Q4 that we had in Q2 and Q3, a little bit higher due to, you know, some price increases, some cost increases, some price reductions, maybe a little bit higher. But the factories are ramping up their production to higher levels. Not just Austin and Berlin, but also Shanghai, producing a lot more this quarter than they were last quarter or the one before. So the labor cost per vehicle should have come down some to help offset those cost increases and little price reductions and incentives. So I'm thinking about 75% gross margin, about 25%, 75% cost of sales, 25% gross margin-ish, about the same we saw last quarter. But with more deliveries, that accounts for more revenue. So the automotive sales, including credits, I'm forecasting to rise from $18 billion last quarter to $22.5 billion this quarter. We'll see if that number comes in or not when Tesla reports their earnings in mid to late January. We'll get the deliveries report on January 2nd, but we won't get the rest of the numbers until the earnings call. Then for leasing and resale revenue, I've got that number up a little as well, to a new record high of $0.7 billion is what I think we'll see. So the two of those combined make automotive revenue of over 23 billion, which is an all-time record for any quarter. We're going to say that a lot about the Q4 2022 forecast. Then for energy generation and storage, well, that Megapack facility is spooling up and selling more than ever. And I expect that to continue into the future. So 1.3 billion is my forecast for Tesla Energy Division. And then almost 1.9 billion worth of services and other revenue. That doesn't come at a very impressive profit margin. You can see the cost of sales on that is 1.8 billion almost. So not a whole lot of profit, maybe 0.1 billion worth of profit contribution from services and other. And, you know, maybe 150 million-ish of energy generation and storage, gross profit. The big money maker is automotive, always. So these are my automotive costs of sales here. Almost 17 billion worth of total automotive and leasing cost of sales is what I'm forecasting, which lead to that 24.7% gross margin we saw up top, and a gross margin in dollars of 6.5 billion, which would be another record. It's never been that high before. Skip the currency translation impact. This could actually be favorable this quarter. Last quarter it was unfavorable. Then for research and development, I've got $820 million, which would be almost as much as the highest ever, Q1 of this year. Then for selling, general, and administrative expenses, I've got a section down below that totals this up for me, but I've got it crossing $1 billion for the quarter in Q4, matching the Q1 2021 SG&A total. And then I've got a little bit of restructuring and other expense in here. This is for another Bitcoin impairment. Bitcoin has been beat up again, so expect to see a little Bitcoin impairment hit Tesla's income statement, making total operating expenses of 1.865 billion, leaving income or loss from operations of 4.7 billion almost. So 17, almost 18% operating margin there, with interest income of a little over $100 million. That's never happened before for interest income. It looks like Tesla has bought some short-term treasuries or something. They have marketable notes in their balance sheet last time, so those hopefully are going to pay interest to Tesla. And then an interest expense lower than we've ever seen it before because Tesla has almost no debt remaining at all. So 37 million worth of interest expense. So net positive, as we saw on a few previous quarters between these two. Actually, not that long, just the previous quarter, there was more interest income than interest expense. So relatively new feature to Tesla's P&L, having more interest income than interest expense. And other income expense net, hard to predict this one. You can see it jumps around positive to negative. I've got a positive 12 million there. Who knows what we'll see. Then that makes income or loss before taxes of 4.7 billion. This number is a bigger number than this was, 4.668 to 4.751, because we've got net income in this area, right? And then we've got the biggest wild card of them all on this quarter's forecast. How on earth, James, can your provision/benefit for income taxes be a negative number? Well, that's why I labeled it benefit in parentheses so that you would know what was going on. Tesla does have a one-time tax benefit that they can take as soon as their auditors, PricewaterhouseCoopers, agree that it is more likely than not that Tesla will be able to take the entire amount of prior year's losses they've saved up on the balance sheet as a deferred tax asset to the income statement. So as soon as that has met the definition of more likely than not in the U.S., taxable income, then Tesla will take this tax benefit, is my expectation. We'll see what happens. I think there's a limit of 80% on that, so it's about a $2 billion benefit, so I'm assuming $1.6 billion worth of benefit here. This is the 80% happening, and this is the reference to the $2 billion here. So 80% of $2 billion is $1.6 billion to the good. Without that, I would have had Tesla paying a $1.2 billion tax in this quarter. So, because this is a lot of earnings, right? So if that happens, then I'll be right about the net income loss figure being bigger than the income or loss before income taxes because of this credit, tax credit that Tesla takes. And then I've got a little bit of net income here, 15 million. Who knows what that number will be? It's another wild card. And that's how you get to the $5,133,000,000 I'm forecasting for net income attributable to common stockholders. And I should probably just stop the video right now and then talk about the future earnings in the next video. So that's what I'll do after briefly checking back in with Loki. He's still sleeping. And I'll say if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to everyone who supports me with your likes or your comments or your attaboys, or by contributing to the cause through Patreon or by joining my YouTube channel, especially Kathy Kitchler and Halter Ferguson Financial, my executive producers, and I will see you in the next one.